Hey guys, this is Dan Williams from Range of Motion, and I'm happy to bring you WOD number 4 of the WOD Games Season 1. Just before we get started, a big thanks to everyone for all the great feedback from last week's video. We had fun putting it together. Hopefully we can keep providing you with some good videos, instruction and some good tips as well that will help you improve your performance as we go. Feel free to send any feedback my way, guys, so we can improve it every week. A big thank you to all the organisers of the WOD Games. They've actually asked me to be involved in programming the competition from here on in. Something that I'd love to be involved with. What I've done, I've put together a basic blog which is online at rangeofmotion.net.au, which just outlines how I'm going to approach this programming and how we'll look at the competition as we go forward. Without any further ado, let's have a look at WOD number 4. This is a 15-minute workout. The workout will begin with a 1,000 metre row. As soon as this is finished, you have the remainder of the 15 minutes to establish a 1 rep max ground to overhead. Your scoring for this is very simple, guys. You take the number of seconds that it took you to do that 1,000 metre row and you subtract your weight lifted in kilograms in your ground to overhead. So if you were to do that row in, say, 4 minutes, which is 240 seconds, and you lift 60 kilos in your ground to overhead. You take 240, the seconds from your row, 60 kilos, the weight for your ground to overhead, 240, subtract 60 is 180, and your score for that workout will be 180. At the end of the day, the lowest points wins. So guys, here's the rationale behind this workout. Obviously, the faster you row, your 1,000 metres, the better your end score is prone to be. However, there's also the added benefit of having more time to complete that 1 rep max ground to overhead. The faster you row, the more time you have to complete your lift. This allows us to not just work strength, or power in this case, in the Olympic lift, in a fatigued state, but also with a little bit of recovery. We are aiming to test that hard, short, fast glycolytic pathway, that real suck zone where you start to hurt in that 1,000 metre row. We then want a decent amount of breaks so we can try and find the best Olympic lifters out there with you guys competing. This is an event that's going to be a good one for power athletes, but people who can maintain power over an extended period of time. We don't just want to test power and strength in the middle of a glycolytic pathway. We want to test people's ability to operate within a glycolytic pathway separate to their ability to generate a lot of power. Standards for the rower, all pretty simple with this one, guys. There's not a huge amount of variables for this. You can have the dampness setting set anywhere you like, anywhere from 1 up to 10, your call. Feet can be strapped in at the start. The handle must be in the cradle before the 3, 2, 1 go. The flywheel must be stopped and completely stationary. It can't be spinning before you start. It's also important, guys, that you have the row set up as a countdown from 1,000 metres. Let's just have a look at how you set that up on your C2 rower. As soon as you've turned on the console, all you need to do is hit select workout. This will bring up the options. You're going to choose new workout, single distance, and then you're going to set this number at 1,000. It's automatically set at 2,000, so all you guys need to do is press the minus button once, and then the tick. And you'll see at the top of the screen here, we've got it set for 1,000 metres. As soon as you start rowing, this will start to count down. Your time is the time from the C2, not from the clock you're using to time the workout. So you'll have a separate clock set, 15 minutes, 3, 2, 1, go. You can then take your time to start this. This will be your time for the row, but when the 15 minutes ends, that's the end of your workout. Your 1 rep max must be done before then. Let's have a look at the standards for that. So as soon as you finish with your row, you jump straight off the remainder of that 15 minutes to establish your 1 rep max ground to overhead. In that time, guys, if you like, you can put weightlifting shoes on. It will take you some time, but if you think it's going to be worthwhile, feel free. Standards for this are extremely simple. As it implies, you're starting from the ground and you are finishing up overhead. Your start position, with the plates resting on the ground, and you're finished with the bar overhead. Let's take a look at the standard for the overhead portion of this movement. Knees must be locked, hips must be open, your ears must be forward of your biceps, and your elbows must be locked. It doesn't matter what width your hands are overhead, and feet must be within hip width. A, improve your performance and power output, and B, make sure you're not injuring yourself. First thing, you don't want to overextend yourself on each stroke. A lot of people tend to try and get as much distance as they can, and in doing so, will lose neutral spine. Not only is this predisposing you to a lower back injury, but it means you're not going to be able to generate as much power. What you want to do is maintain neutral, keep your chest high, maintain that neutral lumbar spine at the base. Obviously a good way to practice this is in the warm-up, and I really do suggest that you guys do a bit of rowing in your warm-up for this one. One of the main reasons we can do this, aside from the fact that you're specifically warming up the muscles we're going to be addressing, you start to get something called motor neuron pool excitability. Basically what this means is you're turning on all those nerves that are telling the muscles to work. So if you can turn on those nerves, almost turning the volume up on them, as soon as you start the workout, your body's going to be primed and ready to hit a row at a high intensity. I don't want to turn this into an instructional video on the snatch and clean and jerk, so I'm not going to go through the main technique points here, guys. All I want to do is show you the two main areas you need to address to make sure that you're staying strong and staying safe with this movement. The first is maintaining neutral spine at the bottom, almost exactly the same as what we just went through with the C2 rower. From this position, you want to make sure that you've got a good strong lumbar curve, lower back, and that you're not rounded with the pelvis posteriorly tilted. Then in the overhead position, we're looking to do the opposite. From here, extended overhead, you want to keep the back as flat as possible. In this position, the tendency with a tight shoulder girdle or a tight thoracic spine is to overextend to achieve that ears through arms effect. As much as possible, keep the lumbar spine flat, ears through, arms above shoulder blades. As I did last week, I've put together a basic post on pre and post exercise routines for this specific workout. Making sure that you're preparing your body for the movements you're about to complete, and then after, making sure that you're not too sore, and making sure that you're able to recover and train as normally as possible outside these competition workouts. One of the main benefits of this, guys, is improving the range over which you can generate force, which is important, especially those of you with tight shoulders and a tight thoracic spine, as we just went through with that overhead standard. What we basically want to look at is a graph on which we can measure the length of the muscle and the ability of that muscle to generate force. So if we look at muscle length and we look at force, a muscle that's tight is only going to be able to generate force in a very narrow band of range. So if we're looking at end range, as you might have with an overhead movement, if end range is down here, you can see that the ability to generate force at a long muscle length is impaired. If we can fatten out this curve, which we effectively do by increasing the length of a muscle through a lot of PNF stretching and mobility, which is included in those pre-exercise routines, that same point, as it bisects that curve, is going to be able to generate you a lot more force. So you're more able to generate force at the end range of motion. And that's what we're looking at, guys. So make sure you check out that post on the pre and post exercise routines for this workout. I'll be posting those for every week as they come around. Enjoy this workout, guys. It'll be a great way to test your power, your cardiorespiratory endurance, particularly in the more glycolytic pathway. We're also looking at power in the Olympic lifts. Thanks, guys. Enjoy. Send feedback through. I'll see you next week.